Welcome to Kcse English. This is our lesson 2 on set texts, and in this episode we are looking at John Steinbeck's The Pearl. This is a new series of episodes that are aimed at supporting digital learning in schools. Specifically, this series of educative videos will focus on teaching and learning of Kcse English language. The series has started by examining the set texts with a view of helping students preparing for Kcse examination enjoy learning literature in English as they prepare for their examinations. We have started the series by bringing to you episodes on John Steinbeck's The Pearl. We started these lessons by introducing what a novel is and the elements that make a novel. We gave an introduction to the study of the novel The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I believe we are now ready to start the study of the novel systematically. In this series of 3 episodes, we are going to look at the plot, themes, and characterization and style and language in John Steinbeck's The Pearl. In this episode specifically, we examine the plot and the themes in The Pearl. Remember to subscribe in order to receive updates once we upload our episodes. The process of subscribing is simple and free. Just click on the subscribe button on your phone or laptop or computer and you start receiving our updates. Let me begin by first examining the brief summary of The Pearl. The story begins by introducing us to Kino, his wife Juan, and his baby Coyotito. They live in a hut near the Gulf. It is at dawn and we are introduced to their daily routine. They take a simple breakfast and care for the baby. We note here that this is a simple family. Everything appears calm until a scorpion stings Coyotito. Juan, Kino's wife, suggests they take Coyotito to the doctor. The neighbor discourages them since they are very poor. The neighbor feels the doctor will not accept to treat Coyotito. Indeed, the doctor rejects them and refuses to treat the child. In desperation, Kino and Juan decide to go fishing in search for a pearl. Luckily, they get a large oyster and a great pearl inside it. The good news is that the swelling in Coyotito's skin appears to recede and Kino is overcome with joy. The news about Kino's pearl spreads fast. Everybody becomes interested in knowing what they would gain out of it. These people include the priest, the shopkeepers, and even the doctor. They all wanted to associate with Kino. Interestingly, the doctor in fact comes to treat Coyotito at Kino's house. That night, a thief tries to steal the pearl, but Kino fights with him. Kino and Juan decide to go to town to sell the pearl, but the dealers want to take advantage of him by offering ridiculously low prices. They try to trick him into believing that the pearl is worthless. Kino decides to return home with the pearl and sell it in the capital the following day. That night, Juan takes the pearl so as to get rid of it and save the family from evil. Kino discovers her plan and fights her. He manages to take the pearl from her. However, a thief attacks him and attempts to steal the pearl. Kino fights him and kills him in the process, but he is also badly hurt. They decide to escape before dawn, but the canoe is broken. To compound his problems, their house catches fire. Kino asks his brother Thomas to hide them in his house. Thomas and his wife Antonio agree to hide them and give the neighbors false information on what might have happened to Kino. That night, Kino and Juan escape towards the north. However, Kino discovers that trackers were following them. Kino and Juan hide in a cave at the mountains. The attackers come close to the spot they were hiding. What follows is an unfortunate coincidence. By bad luck, Coyotito cries and one of the attackers shoots him. In rage, Kino kills all the three attackers. Frustrated due to the death of their son, Juan and Kino return to their village and throw the pearl away. This story demonstrates the vanity that defines our lives. Sometimes we achieve certain goals at a great expense. This is a very good example of a Pyrrhic victory. Having looked at the brief summary of this novel, now I'm sure we are ready to examine the themes in this novel. This novel has a number of themes, and it is through these themes that we come to understand exactly what the author wanted to tell us. The themes include 1. Poverty, 2. Greed and materialism, 3. Fate, 4. Hope, 5. Disillusionment, 6. Death, 7. Suffering, 8. Exploitation, 9. Courage, 10. Social stratification, and 11. Discrimination. Let us now look at each of these themes in details so that we appreciate the magnitude of the intensity of the issues that are being discussed in this novel. Let us begin with poverty. Under poverty, we note a number of things coming through from this novel. Juan and Kino, together with their neighbors, live in abject poverty. This is reflected in the brush houses that they live in, and this poses lots of risks to them. They live in insecure environment. In addition, they are attacked severally and their houses often catch fire. Kino and Juan cannot afford medical care for Coyotito when he is stung by a scorpion. They cannot afford education for Coyotito, and the pearl seems to bring or to hold the key to their future happiness. The clothes that Kino wears as they go to seek medical help for Coyotito depicts a life of poverty. The second theme that we would like to look at is greed and materialism. The doctor shows his greed when he hears of Kino's pearl. He forgets he had refused to help treat Coyotito that morning. He now attempts to associate with Kino so as to benefit from the pearl. He even visits Kino at home and talks so well to him. He tries to trick Kino into giving him the pearl. The pearl buyers are also greedy. They try to con Kino by making unreasonably low offers to purchase the pearl. The priest, on his part, starts to think of repairs in the church when he hears of Kino's pearl. The writer tells us that all manner of people grew interested in Kino. Another equally important theme that we are going to examine is that of fate. The theme of fate can also be noted in the novel. Fate seems to be working against Kino to prevent him from escaping from his destiny, which is poverty. Inasmuch as he tries to free himself from poverty, the repercussions are severe. The gods seem to be punishing him and actually pushing him into trouble after trouble. The writer states, and I quote, that the gods take their revenge on a man if he becomes successful through his own efforts. The pearl does not help Kino. In fact, he gets more problems from it. He even ends up escaping from his village, but the trackers are after him, and eventually his son dies. He finally gets rid of the pearl after his son's death. At this juncture, we also note that Coyotito suffers a lot because of his parents. At first, his parents cannot afford his medication, but somehow he survives. He also survives the tough conditions he is put through as Kino and Juan escape. Another equally important theme that we would like to address is that of hope. We encounter the theme of hope when Kino gets the pearl and sees a bright future in it. He plans a lot for his future. He dreams of taking his son to school. He thinks his son will know how to write and know things, so to say. He sees this as one of the things that will make him free himself from poverty. He also planned to do a church wedding and buy a rifle. Overall, everyone hoped to gain from Kino's pearl. The doctor, the pearl dealers, shopkeepers, and ironically, even the priest hoped to benefit from the pearl. Another important theme that we would like to address is that of disillusionment. The theme of disillusionment is seen when Joan tells Kino to throw away the pearl. This is because she thinks it is evil and that it would cause them much pain. She wants it destroyed before it destroys them. She has given up on the possibility of coming out of poverty through the pearl. That is why she even attempts to throw it away. Disillusionment is also seen at the end when Coyotito dies. At that point, Kino decides to get rid of the pearl. The other theme that we would like to address is that of death. The theme of death is seen when Coyotito dies. He is shot by the trackers. This symbolizes the end of Kino's empty struggle. He goes back home as a result of this loss. He further throws the pearl back to the gulf where it came from. Significantly, Coyotito might have been the driving force that pushed Kino to keep the pearl. He had hope that it would help him offer his son some education. This hope dies with Coyotito. Another equally important theme is that of suffering. The theme of suffering dominates the novel. We see Kino's life as a life of total suffering. He lives a poor life, and instead of the pearl changing his life for the better, it causes him even more trouble. He has sleepless nights since he is attacked by people who attempt to steal the pearl. At some point, the pearl creates conflict between him and his wife, Juan. In fact, they fight because of the pearl. They are on the run to escape after the killing of an attacker. Their house burns down and their child dies. Coyotito suffers a scorpion sting. Coyotito goes through difficult situations as his parents escape through the desert. And that is why we say the theme of suffering actually dominates the novel. Another important theme to look at is that of exploitation and courage. The pearl buyers attempt to exploit Kino by offering ridiculously low offers for the pearl. They try to manipulate Kino by telling him that the pearl is not worthy keeping. Juan's courage is depicted when the scorpion bites Coyotito. She takes the baby and sucks out the poison from the baby. The writer states, and I quote, Kino had wondered often at the iron in his patient, fragile wife. This indeed demonstrates that Kino appreciates the courage in his wife. Kino's courage is depicted when he shows determination to fight and ensure the pearl is not taken away. He hopes that the pearl will transform their lives. No one shall take our good fortune from us, he declares. Another important theme that we would like to look at is that of social stratification. There is a gap between the poor and the rich. This is represented by the contrast in the living conditions. Kino's family and the neighbors live in hovels of houses, so to speak, indicating abject poverty. Their homes are also insecure, and there are attempts to steal from them severally. And we also note that Kino's house burns down. The writer uses imagery to depict poverty, but more significantly, we should also note that social stratification makes it difficult for the doctor to treat Coyotito. He says that it is not worthy his effort to treat an animal. Having examined the summary and the themes in this novel, I believe we are now ready to start the study of characterization and language in John Steinbeck's The Pearl. I would like to invite you to join us again next time when we examine these aspects. On behalf of my crew, Neka and Pambi, I would like to invite you to subscribe so that you may receive our updates on the forthcoming video. I am Igara Kabaji saying goodbye for now.